Hey folks, Rob Potter here from Mount Shasta, California. This is my view outside my back window tonight. Not really, but it's in the daytime here. I'm with a good friend of mine, a speaker coming up at my Mount Shasta Summer Conference. That'll be taking place June 22nd through the 25th in Mount Shasta. The same bat channel will be at the Masonic Lodge in the city park. I was trying to move it back up to another location that's in the woods, take a few less people, be a little more organic and camping, but they're just so booked up. But I booked for 2024 because 2023 is booked up. So I'm trying to beat the heat and get it out of the fire. So we're starting right after summer solstice, the fresh new energies. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that today with my astrologer friend. And before we start, I'm going to like to share a screen and share a little bit of information about my website here. So this is, of course, my website. For those of you who don't know, this is my my efforts here in my life and kind of my mission. And have a lot of stuff, my mission statement about me, and you can read a lot of stuff here. And this is my slider banner. This is my Truth References blog. Tremendous amount of information in here that if you can go to different ones, some of them are repeated in certain areas depending on the content. Here is a Hidden Secrets cruise I'm going on April 7th through the 14th. It's going to be pretty darn fun. If I get enough people, I get a free trip. If I don't, I'm going to pay a little bit. It looks like a wonderful journey. Leave from Los Angeles. We're going to have Brad Olson, Laura Eisenhower, Adama Apollo, and there's I don't know, I forget, there's a lot of different people here. I can show you in a second here. There's no vax test requirements or mask, anything required. So if you're traveling with a friend, it's much cheaper. If you are a female, I have a female who wants to book at the same time. When you book a room together, you can Zoom and meet. I'll help you arrange that. And you can get save, I think, a $300 or $400 if you both book the same room. So that's a nice opportunity there. I'm also, when you sign up, you have to register. And if you add my name, you're going to get one of my things. So here's this kind of tells you about the cruise and everything and who's going and where you go. You can read the itinerary. So we have Jimmy Church, Nick Pope, Dr. Szymanski, Maureen St. Germain. Here's the lineup here. Louis Thury, amazing friend. I don't know a lot of these other people here, but Brad Olson, it's going to be a great journey there. I'm looking forward to learning and traveling with you all. We land in Cabo San Lucas, and we take a day in town, and we go to Puerto Vallarta, a day in town, and then in Mazatlan, we have another day in town, and we are having excursions. Everything's paid for. So I'm looking forward to this. I've never been on a cruise, and I'm just hoping to get a free trip out of it. It's not a big money maker, but I am offering healing workshops. Many people don't know I've been a massage therapist for 48 years now. Took a 1,000-hour course in 2008. I work in Palm Springs, turn and burn. Had many famous clients back in the day, the Star Trek crew and Dynasty and stuff like that. So healing is kind of a natural aspect of actually one of my basic gifts. As I got older, it's been a little more, I've had a little more impetus to do, let's say, other things. And now I'm on my mission. So I also want to share something right here that I have in my Truth References blog. And this is a little bit of an appeal to you out there in the community who've known me and supported me. I've had, I had a little hospital emergency visit, and I had a car breakdown, a computer explode. And so I'm in need of some finances, and I'm not asking for a handout, although I do have I think I have a donation blog somewhere, but what I'm offering here is some incredible discounts on my products, and it's all listed here. I'm going to get to this page here. If we can get to it here, it's coming up. So I'm selling some of these things at cost. This product, this jewelry product here, the Receptor, one of my favorites, $9.97. If you're a membership, you get it for $800. The holographic projector is normally $14.95. It has 4 stones. It's silver with gold plating, or you can have silver with rhodium plating. That is going for under $1,000. That's a $500 discount on that. I've got some of my more exotic technologies. The star orb here is going for $600. This is an ion shower, 35, and this is a star shield. This is about at cost, not below. This particular device is below cost. And this device is also below cost. This has a ion shower, so check that out. I've got some other stuff here, and if you read all the way through, there's some things. You just click the links, you'll take them there. You must be logged in. So if you're a basic membership, you go here and you go to your account, and you got to make sure you're logged in. So you can see I'm on my dashboard here. So this is where you go to find out to get your account. So if you're logged in, when you go to that page, you're going to be able to, when you click on shop, or when that link takes you to these products here, for instance, I'll go to the pyramid systems. And I'll just show you, because a lot of people are having trouble logging in. I have a video that shows that. I have a tremendous amount of information on my inner circle. You got tons of free books. So this is 3,500 here. And for those of you who are not logged in, you're going to see that. But if I go to here, this should show up. I'm going to be doing a test here. If not, we'll fix it. But I'm going to, there should be a discount of $2,000. So, oops, I'm going to have to probably fix that. We worked on that last night. I thought it was ready to launch. Anyway, so I'm going to get right into the information with Jane Masteller. So Jane, thank you for coming back, being patient while we did a little update here, doing a little promo to see if I can get some support here for what I'm doing. And how are you doing, and what's going on? And you're up in, is it Montana?
I'm in Nampa, Idaho.
Oh, Idaho, up there, big sky country. Tell us how it's going.
And things are awesome here in Idaho. And I'm really excited because actually I'm transitioning into a new career. Of course, I'm doing speech language pathology. Excuse me, I formerly was a speech language pathologist working full time with that, and then doing astrology part-time. But I found that, I was ready for a change, particularly wanting to have my mental space open to be able to be focusing more on astrology. So I made the transition actually from being a speech therapist to a professional truck driver. And we've talked a little bit about that. And one of the things that's real funny is everyone says, oh my gosh, what a huge change. But then I joke right back and I say, not so much actually, because Mercury, the planet that deals with communication, which rules teachers, it rules speech therapists, but it also rules drivers, because not only does Mercury be connected with communication, but it's also connected with travel. So since I knew I was successful as a speech language pathologist and was able to do okay financially, and then was pretty happy in many ways with it, I felt like it would be good to do the exact like a lateral move and try out truck driving. And so what I'm so excited about that with is that I can be more by myself and be like driving peaceful and listening to astrology podcasts and having more mental space time to be doing astrology.
That's wonderful. My son's just become a truck driver. He's traveling the country nonstop, not even renting a house. He's just amassing a fortune for himself to go and do another lateral move for himself. And it's quite interesting. What's your handle on the road? Do you do the CBs?
Well, I do have a CB, and it does not come natural because
Let me guess, it's going to be sun moon conjunct. Come over the. What's the handle?
They say it for us not to use it for funny little things like that, but we do have to pull it down and indicate when we're at certain landmarks. But one of the reasons I chose the place where I'm going to be working actually tomorrow is my first day at the job is I'll be transporting sugar beets. And when I heard about this, the reasons that it appealed to me was that I'd be home daily, no touch freight, and designated routes. But also I know my chart, and I know that I have the career sector is 29 degrees Virgo, 29 degrees Taurus. And when I heard sugar beets, I thought, hey, that's Taurus energy. That's the earth. And so that was another reason I was guided to this particular job, which
So
seems to
what's
be
your
a
handle?
starter.
What's your handle? What do you call yourself?
Well, I guess I'm called, I'm called a CDL driver, but I do like the name, you can call me Trucker Jane.
Trucker Jane. Trucker Jane. Okay, that's what they do. Yeah, so I used to ride around when we travel cross country health shows. I used to we had a CB and we would just use it to find out where the cops are, listen to the truckers. We got a Smoky on coming up on Road 3, and once you get past that, be careful. There's another Smoky about 4 miles later. Check it. Yeah. So I'm calling from Shaky Town, which is Chicago, or Los Angeles, and they call Chicago with Shiloh and all that stuff. So let's get right into the wonderful world of astrology. And for folks who follow me, my information is not just about extraterrestrials, the information, but I'm a metaphysician. I'm been studying this information my whole life. Been very interested in health and astrology, and Dr. Fred Bell in creating these different products here. These actually shield the body, and they work on what is called the science of electrical precursion, or magnetic influence of the chakras, that kind of thing. So when we look at planets, we understand that the moon definitely affects and has a cycle that coincides with the women's moon cycles and affects the water in our body. And we also look at biorhythms, and we see that the sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus actually coincide with the mental, emotional, and the physical cycles of the body. There's different cycles that take place as the sun make their movements. So back in the astrology days, when it was really known and understood, back in the times of the Egyptians, when the extraterrestrial contact and the gods from the sky, so to speak, were influencing humans in a kind of after the fall of Atlantis is what we have a record of. But the science was called ASP. And at that time, astronomy and astrology were considered the same thing. So how the planets react, and the way this works, folks, is the magnetic influence of the various planets have different effects on your body, and they affect the endocrine glands and secretion of those hormones. So there is a true science. And actually, the government's very much involved in astrology, especially for some of the negative, more deep state. They try to time certain events, false flags, and things of control natures, working to hijack the influx of the cosmic energies towards the dark side. That's over now. I don't want to focus on that today. I want to focus about the knowledge and learning about astrology, how we can use it to kind of guide ourselves. Now, the stars impel, they don't compel. But to understand the science of it and how it influences by the moon, the serotonin levels go up. If you commit a crime during a full moon, or when the Hamsun's blowing, the negative ions, the effect of the consciousness from serotonin is recognized as a mitigating circumstance. There's more accidents, there's more crimes, there's more kitties, all kinds of things happen during the full moon. So we're going to get in now with a girl who's very talented in this, and she gets most of her information telepathically from this cat. Who, what's the kitty's name?
This is Sammy.
Okay, Sammy. So she has a tremendous information. I think she's going to share it. She does what's called Astro Cartography, and I'm going to put a link for her under here and on the post, so you can check it out if you want her. She's really good. I refer a couple friends here and there, but she actually can find out the best place in the world for you based on astrocartography. Mine's down in Bolivia near Santa Cruz. I'm really trying to get down there at some point and check it out. Things are supposed to magically happen and be easier for you there. And she also does relationship charts, natal charts, progress charts. And like my event, she always does very kindly offers a little thing about what's going on. So I'm going to zip my lip. Why don't you take us off on any direction there? I probably won't have a question. You just go ahead and let it roll.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with astrocartography. That's my most favorite
Oh my God.
topic.
Oh my God. Oh, I am recording. Thank God. Okay.
We're all good. So what I want people to understand about is that there's an astrology of your own personal geography. And if you know your own birth time, you can find out where the planetary lines are falling for you, not only just in the United States, if you're residing in the United States, but across the whole world. So we have all the planets, the sun, the moon, the Mercury, Venus, and all these different planetary lines are in various places throughout the whole world for you. And some people can be situated on a major line that could be quite beneficial for them. And some people, it could be somewhat detrimental for them. So what is really great is that you can find out this information and talk with an astrologer and find out what the energy is like, where you currently are, where you've been in the past, and where you might like to be relocating, traveling. Also know that there's a secondary influence. And so even if you aren't residing in that area, you're still picking up that energy from the people that have connections in that area. So I first learned about astrocartography from an astrologer after the fact, once I had moved to Chicago. And he had cautioned me, okay, so the Mars line, not so great. Mars is considered a malefic planet and can promote accidents. And so I had been saving up to try and relocate to a more preferable line, the Venus line. At that time, I was had my eyes on Arizona area. But then I met a man that I married, and then I thought we'll end up moving eventually, but we did not. And some of the things that I experienced on the Mars line. So one thing to know is that when you're on these planetary lines, it's like you are integrating that planet stronger in your own persona. So the benefits of the Mars line, Mars deals with assertiveness and it deals with action. So I was learning how to assert myself better. Before I had moved to the Mars line, it was quite challenging for me to handle any kind of conflict or disagreement, particularly in the professional realm. But on the Mars line, I learned by taking a social emotional training class that was a year long, that was highly effective of how to assert yourself well. It also was great for me being athletic. The Mars line, it deals with athletes. So I was very disciplined with my workouts on the Mars line. And it was an exciting place to be. Mars is dealing with excitement, and it also has a sexual energy to it. So it was like I was having a nice time with my boyfriends there and met my husband there, you know, the masculine energy.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, but it did kind of catch up with me, those accidents. So I did have a number of accidents. I was walking across the street. I was hit by a car. I was riding my bike. I got hit by a car. Luckily, I walked away without too much difficulty. Then I was on a bus, twisted my ankle, broke my ankle. And I'm thinking, this is the Mars line catching up to me. So eventually things ended with my relationship with my former husband. And that's when I knew I had to get out of this Mars line and seek fortune in a more fortunate place. And so now I'm over on the Venus line in the Idaho area. At first, I had thought Arizona would be where I was going to end up, but Idaho was a better fit for me. So I'm definitely reaping the benefits of the Venus line here. And actually, I'm also on the Chiron line here. And the interesting thing about the Chiron is it's that it's shaped in the shape of like a key. And then how interesting that I end up going in to become a truck driver. So sometimes it can end up being like literal. So
You
like
can
the
see
Chiron,
a lot of synchronicities. Yeah, you know, I was kind of looking for my one. Maybe pull up my, if you can find it, pull up my astrocartography. I don't mind sharing mine.
okay.
And it's
I
kind of
did.
interesting, folks. Mine is kind of void. Now she's an astrologer, so she probably follows astrology a lot closer. But she's going to share with us another thing that she has here, which makes it easier. Like in her progressed chart, she's going to show us something that it's going to give you a chart here. So it's kind of interesting. Let me, I'm going to make this a little bigger here and see. But so you look around here. Oh, wow.
So this,
Can you go up higher on the chart? I want to see what's in Nova Scotia. Wow.
well, so
Can
this is Rob's map of the whole world
you
here.
zoom in real close?
We can. There's other larger maps that we can be pulling up, but this just kind of gives you an idea of when we're just looking at it, just a snapshot of everything.
Okay,
So,
because I saw some lines going up there. I've I'm looking for I'm not really familiar with the how everything looks. Where is Nova Scotia on there? I don't really know. I'm not that
so I'm
familiar.
going to scroll down and we'll look at like bigger maps. So
Oh,
here's
okay, okay. Slow down a little bit larger. It's a little lower.
yeah. So
Yeah.
this is Rob's United States map. And
Uh-huh.
so interestingly enough, you'll see, he's located over in the Mount Shasta area. He's not on a major line.
Not
And
at all. My whole
not,
life I haven't been on a line. It's kind of weird. I'm missing
I'm going to
something out.
say the technique that we use when you're not on a major line, well, first of all, I'll just say that there's like horizontal lines usually here that you can't see, but when you click on the software and then you click the box that says show details, then you see if there's any hidden horizontal lines that pack about 1/3 the punch of these major lines. But
Hmm.
Rob doesn't even have any minor lines going through Mount Shasta. So then the strategy is that you look and you see where is his progress chart, where is his ascendant, and that
Show,
gives an idea of
I want to just show them down in Bolivia.
yeah.
I have Sun, Moon, and Venus, which he says are really strong lines. So as we
Real
get,
quick. Yeah,
as
we're gonna show that, but just real quick, I want to point out that what he's tapping into in Mount Shasta is the Saturn line. And then the
oh,
Saturn is dealing with like serious work because that's through the secondary technique of looking where his ascendant is with the progress chart of Mount Shasta. And so that's him dealing with doing serious work. So not everyone can do so well on the Saturn line. But if someone's like really into doing serious work, it actually favors that.
huh.
So let's scroll down and look at, this is the area that Rob has frequented on his travels. And you'll see this area here. We've got these 3 lines here. We've got the Venus line, the Moon line, and the Sun line. So this
Yeah.
is a pretty powerful place for him. So we're packing the 2 luminary lines and Venus, which is a benefic line. And this is all dealing with, you see here, it says AS, that means the ascendant, the first house. So this is dealing with his persona. This is dealing with how it's affecting his personality, and it's affecting how people see him. And so like when we're thinking of the sun line, we're thinking of that's a place where someone is going to be shining. It's a place where someone is going to be connecting with their career. It's a place where their self-image is being integrated even more. And it's a very creative place to be. When we think of the moon line, we're thinking of that it's in tune with your home, even like your homeland. You can have ancestral roots on your moon line.
Hmm.
And with the moon line, the cool thing that's interesting is that you can hear messages around over there that is kind of like interesting messages that you were meant to hear, almost like oftentimes from a female in a way. But your moon is dealing with your emotionality. So you might find if you're on the moon line that you might be a little bit more emotional, feeling your emotions pretty strong in that area. And then lastly, the Venus line. Of course, Venus is a line that a lot of people are interested in because it's related with relationships, but this is dealing with social contacts of all kind, not just romantic partnerships. But Venus in general just would promote partnerships, relationships, social contacts of people that are, kind, agreeable, pleasant, things going easy, not as much drama. And it can be a good place for finances. But keep in mind, we also want to be thinking about in your own natal chart, like for Rob, we might be saying, well, what about his natal sun and his natal moon and his natal Venus? Because when you're on those lines, it's going to bring out your natal chart with that planet, with like the sign that planet is residing in, the zodiac sign, as well as the aspects that are in those signs. So the Venus line, maybe not so great for everyone if you have a very afflicted Venus.
So this is just one aspect of what she does. So, and she does the personal readings. Why don't you show more traditional astrology? I just thought this is because she's quite versatile. She does cartography, relationship, individual signs, progress signs, and so There's a lot of information here. And like I said, these are just tendencies and energies that you have free will to choose from. You know, I don't look at my life and go around it. Why don't you show a personal chart? You can redact the name, or, I mean, I don't even care if you use mine, but maybe show you have a calendar or something that you had done that we'll get into that too. Is this my chart or someone? Okay.
Yeah, so this is your chart. So we'll kind of just use this as an example, just like this is, you know, our traditional natal chart. And then if I was going to be doing the transits, we would have the planets around the edge here. I just don't, this was the one that came up the quickest and easiest for me. Yep. So if I was looking at your transits, we would have planets that are around the edge here, and we'd be talking about how the transiting planets would be influencing you currently. If we were just doing a natal chart reading or an astrocartography reading, so I would look here, for example, if we're thinking, well, what's going on with that Venus and that moon and the sun for Rob's chart, I would look here and I would say like, well, this is making a nice trine aspect to the planet Uranus, which is in your 7th house. So right. I would be thinking that when you would be going to that area of the sun, the moon, and the Venus line, that it would be an exciting experience. Uranus is dealing with excitement, and that you would be interacting with people who were highly interesting. Uranus is dealing with individualistic type of people, and it's also dealing with innovative people who are maybe inventors, and just an exciting time. So I would say, and the trine is one of the best aspects. It's like things just kind of falling in your lap. So
yeah, I have a very harmonious chart, folks. There's only 2 red lines. so anyhow, I'm kidding. Anyway, so what we see here is my natal chart, and she makes these charts, and she actually talks you through it, and you also give a written report. So even though she can answer questions after you read your written report on your readings, it's pretty good. I think it's pretty great what you do there. And you know, I do want to, because you've been very accurate for me in certain areas, I do want to support for people to connect with you. I don't know if you want to mention your prices or how to get a hold of you right now. If you have a pen and paper, folks, maybe you can do that, or you can look at the link. This is going to be on YouTube, and you're going to be able to look at the link on the post on the website as well. If you want to get a hold of Jan, and if she wants to leave her phone number, we'll put that on there as well. You may catch her on the road. You may have to call her Trucker Jane, but she'll set something up for you. What's your website, and how would they get a hold of you?
It's my first and last name. So it's Jane, Jane, and then Masteller, Masteller.com, JaneMasteller.com.
That's pretty trippy, because stellar, you know, we have the stars. I mean, you obviously thought of that.
I thought of it a lot. And it's also like, when I think of mass, I think of like the groups. And so it's like teller of the masses. And a lot of my siblings are actually teachers. And so it kind of plays out interesting with them working with large mass groups of people. This one that I pulled up right here is Rob's report. Him and I are going to have a meeting later where we go into much more detail. This is where I was talking about how the outside here is where we're seeing.
Are these are current transits?
Yeah, this is current transits.
Okay, cool.
Made for September 16th. And so what I do is I create this report. We go into great detail with it. And first we talk about what's going on with the house system, with the planets transiting in the houses. And we talk about the certain dates that we can put on our electronic calendar. I'm working on finding out how I can become an editor to people's calendars, so I can enter this in for part of the reading for people that are interested in that for an additional fee. But you'll see here, not only just do we talk about the houses, but we go into detail about, sorry if the scrolling is a bit much for people for a moment, but we talk about the eclipses. And so Rob, for example, he's going to have some interesting eclipses, and know that eclipses can play into part around 6 months. maybe around the first month, around that time, most intensely, but it's still be coming into play for any time around 6 months that happens. So he's going to, on October 25th, we're having an eclipse around 2 degrees Scorpio. So for all you people with the early degree Scorpio sun sign, you're going to be having your sun eclipsed, but Rob is getting his Neptune eclipsed. And so how interesting that he's talking about going on this cruise, right? Because cruise is dealing with water, and Neptune is dealing with water as well.
This day, actually, I'm coming back from Mexico. I can't actually really afford to go there right now, but I paid for this trip 2 years ago. COVID came and it was running out. And so I set this date, and you know, the actual journey, I'm going to be pinching pennies a bit, but I had already paid for the plane ticket, and I got a great deal on the rooms, and I have my sisters coming down and sharing a little bit. So I wouldn't be traveling on this trip at this time, but actually the 25th, I begin my journey back to the States.
Yeah. So, and actually interesting that you say you're traveling right around that time, and it's happening in Rob's 9th house, which deals with long distance travel. So, and then, you know, Rob's kind of talking about, you know, I'm feeling this kind of, you know, little pinch with my pocketbook, and that can be a little bit like Neptune. You know, Neptune is great for creativity, for intuition, for spirituality, for artistic endeavors, for psychicness, but not always so fantastic for material gains. So that may be one of the things that's tapping in with him. And then, not to irritate people with the scrolling, but let's go look and see what's going on with Neptune here, because it's relevant to what he's talking about. Neptune is transiting right now in Rob's 2nd house, which deals with
Money.
finances. Yeah. So we have the planet that makes things weak at times going through the house that's dealing with finances. On a positive note, let's say that this could be that a person can make their money doing spiritual things, or doing things that are somewhat charitable, or doing things that are working in any way with the ethereal world. Neptune is dealing with the ethereal world. But it does kind of, you know, make things possibly, Neptune can make things kind of like disappear and hazy. So that's going on in the finance realm. But one thing that you can be kind of happy, Rob, is we'll point out that Chiron, the wounded healer, is finally going to be leaving your 2nd house. And so, because you're learning of like, you know, when Chiron's going through a certain house, it gives us opportunities to heal in that area. However, it can open up wounds in order for them to be healed and create some challenges in there.
Is your thing on Chiron right now? Is
that's that key. Remember,
that's the 3rd house of communication.
Well, now it's going into the 3rd house. So now I wrote on the dates here on the specific times. It's going to go retrograde one more time back into that 2nd house. To give you one more opportunity to have healing, learning experiences of things that would be dealing with resources, your finances. And 2nd house is also, you know, dealing with your value system too.
Right.
But one of the things I would think is that you will have some relief with having stress with finances, with Chiron finally going to be exiting out of there for good for a while. And then
you know, it's a little, I mean, I don't want to go too much into my personal finances, but I've had, it's a little stressful right now. I started my new conference, and I'm going to offer incredible discounts on the thing. Also, by the way, if you go to that website, and if you purchase one of those products at a discount, I'm giving a free ticket to the conference. That's going to be a value of $375. So I was noticing, like, there's a conference down in Florida. I think that their discount is like you know, I think it's like $690, and the prices are going up to $850 for 3 days. So I don't know, some people feel comfortable charging that much money. I like to make my conference more affordable, and you get 4 days of lots of speakers and time to enjoy the mountains. So I'm really happy to share this information. And so let's not talk anymore about money. I'm always have faith that I'm taken care of and move forward. It's just at this point, I put a lot of emphasis in stocking up on products, and now I need to just move forward. Anything else exciting that you think?
Yeah, I'm going to come to the part here. Well, this just kind of shows like what I'm doing with these reports is that, we're getting a little bit of information here from my software. And then I like to include some written information from Robert Hand. I enter that in so people can go back and review it. I know when I'm going through my reading with people, I'm speaking with my own language, but I don't know how many people are taking copious notes or going to review the recorded video. But then you can always have this written out there that you can contemplate on and go back on and think about how this aspect might be playing out. And so you can see things like where we say when it's going to be exact, and then when you might start feeling it, and when it's entering into the aspect, and then when it's leaving and where you wouldn't be feeling the aspect so much. But what I want to show you is the one I've highlighted it in blue. I'm looking through here because it's when you're having your conference, and I think it would be fun.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so here we go. Uranus is going to be trining his ascendant right around that conference date, exact on June 23rd. So this is based on, if Rob's birth time is exactly correct, which I think it's pretty accurate based on what he's given me and what we know about Rob. But this is a really awesome transit. Uranus is
wow. I picked a good day.
Yeah, for you, this will be a good one. You'll be feeling excited. You'll be feeling energized, and this would be a time where your uniqueness is going to be aligned in a great way with how people are perceiving you, which is perfect for your type of conference, which is talking about unconventional material. And in fact, when I think of Uranus, I think of things that are dealing with extraterrestrials, and Rob is talking about certain things about Venusians and things like that. So it very much favors those kind of topics. So this would be a time when he'd be feeling pretty good with this aspect. Every time my own personal astrologer, I like to get a reading from him every year. When he talks about Uranus, he always says Uranus, good planet. So it deals oftentimes with unexpected surprises that are usually beneficial. And it's Uranus is the ruler of the Aquarius energy, and Aquarius we think of as groups. And Rob is having his conference, of course. This is like groups always coming. So it favors a group-like atmosphere. So this is something that I'm excited that you're going to be experiencing when you're having your conference around those dates.
Well, this is wonderful. So we've taken a little look at the my personal and progressed charts, and you shared a little Astro Cartography. And is there anything would you like to share? Maybe we have about 20-30 minutes left. Would you like to share anything with maybe the current world situation for people, or
okay, so let me see. This is like a little summary of what I've made for the presentation that when I was at your conference this past summer.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and make this a little bit more visually friendly of how to do it, from making it larger so people can see it well. I think, what do I have to hit here?
You go up here and go play from current slide. It'll make it bigger there. And then now you just push it forward. Yeah, there we go.
So one of the things I talked about at Rob's conference is that USA was having their Pluto return. And so that means that Pluto has gone around in a circle of where it's returned to its exact place when they signed the Constitution. And so here's some thoughts on the Pluto return. It happens about every 248 years, plus or minus a decade or so. And what we can think of with Pluto is we're thinking of that Pluto is the planet of dealing with death, transformation, rebirth. It's also dealing with power. It's dealing with politics. And when we see this, we often see that it's going to destroy or turn empires into something completely different. Empires fall. They can transform into something different or go away, and some other power takes over. They're not always
something December 28th. You had 3 different dates there.
Yeah, because it was the 3 different hits. So that was the last hit of it was December 28th. So
coming up, yeah.
Oh, excuse me, coming up. Yeah, well, so I will still get one more Pluto Return. So that will be interesting to watch what's happening
Yeah.
between Christmas and New Year's for the USA chart. This is USA. So I know in history the different charts that of different countries that were empires. I know it was only the Roman Empire that really benefited from their Pluto return, and they had two different 250-year cycles of power. They transformed in some way that was beneficial for them. But some things to think about, not to be a Debbie Downer, but this is what happened when Pluto was opposing the USA Pluto. We had the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, the USA dropped the gold-backed currency, the Prohibition ended, Hitler's rise to power, communist takeover of China, and World War II begins. So, you know, some things that that we might be thinking about that may be coming out even around that Christmas time, right? Even more, and things that we've already been experiencing is transformation in the areas that are going to be dealing with the financial system, the economy, purchasing power, supply chain, exchange of material goods. When we had the chart, when we were looking at the chart of this, what we would see was we saw that Mercury was in the 8th house, and the 8th house rules debt. So we have national debt, welfare, Social Security, and other government programs that can provide financing that may be having certain changes, taxes in general, insurance policies, mortality rates. And then also with the Mercury, I think also more exposure of confidential information through the news media and other information sharing outlets, like a lot of, more whistleblowing type of things.
I definitely think this is what you just said there. I want to emphasize some of the things that she's talking about. I think that I don't see a world war coming. I think I see an end to war. I see this cycle as a new vibrational positive change. And I know a lot of people are, I'm going to be coming out with a series called The Restoration Plan. People having a problem with it, but the galactics have taken over the financial system. And as Omnek said, my friend from Venus, she said they've told them, they've made an agreement that they're going to change and move forward. And if they don't, someone asked, well, what if they don't do it? And she said in her North or South Carolina drawl, they'll be annihilated. So that's what's taking place now, is those that are fighting and resisting the system, the galactics behind the scenes, through the ground commander, the woman in charge of the true quantum financial system, Kim Gogan, is now destroying their technology of control. And we're going to go to just a flat purchase tax. There'll be no more income tax. There never was, but lots of great changes. The propaganda machine maybe continue to run, but right now we're free people and we can move forward. So this transformation that she's talking about, see this as a good thing to step into your power. The Venusians have stated that this year, 2023, is going to be the year of revelation. She talked about conspiracy theories. Everyone's going to wake up in a big level. A lot of things will be exposed. Don't hold on to your beliefs and programming. Recognize that most of the criminals and most of the terrorists are located in governments and in militaries that have been working against us. It's hard to believe. It's hard to digest. Not everyone, not the innocent soldiers, but the highest level things have been designed to destroy and take energy from people. Now is the time for us to claim our source and to come back. And working with the planets and the energies and being aware of how the influence of the planets, even from very far away, we don't even understand the astrology of other planets. In our development, those higher force beings, higher dimensions, when certain planetary aspects would come here, they would come on the other side of that. They would station themselves around the Earth, and they would be on the other side of the stellar influence, mimicking that frequency to help develop DNA transformation. So the science that she talks about here is very tremendous. I'll let you go ahead.
Okay, yes, and I liked some of those words that he was using, which were very Plutonian words, which were destroy and annihilate. And let's have a positive idea that the transformation, like what Rob says, can be for our greatest good. And one of the things that we might be seeing is the transformation of our healthcare. So hidden technology coming out to help us to be able to be helping us with that area. So now I'm going to go a little bit into Pluto moving into Aquarius. So this is a very big deal. Because Pluto stays in each different sign for such a long time. And Pluto has been in Capricorn for a long time, and that's been dealing with some of this totalitarianism that we've been experiencing. Pluto dealing with power, Capricorn dealing with corporations and with the government. And we're going to be feeling a shift, and it's going to be starting in March 23rd of 2023. March is a big deal coming up in 2023. And it'll go retrograde back into Capricorn a little bit from June 11th, 2023 to January 21st of 2024. But then it's going to pop back in for good, and it stays there until 2044. So as you can see, like it's in each sign for around 20 years. So some of the things that for better or worse, these are some of the keywords of Pluto. I've listed them here, and these are things that we're already have been seeing, present going on in the collective right now. But let's just, take a moment and think about these keywords. Pluto is dealing with transformation, death, rebirth, and Aquarius deals with humanity, and it deals with the collective. It deals with the group. So, when we're thinking about these kind of things, when I put transhumanism here, this is dealing with the transformation of what some people are doing, considering, with their humanity, what they're doing. So we've got transhumanism, transgenderism. What are some of these other ones? Robot technology, revolutionary technology, smart cities, really interesting thing coming out with smart cities. One in particular, I took some notes on it, but the one that fascinated me the most was when they were talking about really like people would be going into like a virtual reality of their city, kind of like that game that children play, Minecraft, coming to your own city, as particularly in Australia, they're highlighting that stuff already.
Yeah, I want to say artificial intelligence, the AI, it can be a positive thing, but it can also be a detriment. The Venusians had to fight it, and they barely survived it. They had something, we call it the event, they called it the beginning, and they got their own president, a fifth columnist who was against the corporations. He said, we're shutting everything down, and everyone left the cities and they went out. This is millions of years ago when Venus had more plants and stuff, and they all went out and they created individual communities where they had every minor community had scientists, hydraulic, electrical, each one, and they decided that everyone would become an expert. So they changed their education system so that everyone was trained in, it wasn't just specialty, and they really utilized their development of an equal and to make everyone kind of a genius. And then they eventually came back together. But the transhumanist Neuralink agenda is definitely a negative one. The smart chips have frequencies in them, and they were created by the bad guys. And so they have everything in your car, in your house, your smart meters, and they can trigger fires and blow up your house. That's what happened during the engineered apocalypse that they're trying to do. However, the rife technologies that they put in these smart things in your wallets and everything can actually affect your body's health through a very advanced technology. These are the things that are being taken down behind the scenes. So this smart technology and the AI transhumanism is absolutely not where we're going. They're talking about it like it's going to happen. They're saying you're going to have a biochip they can control, have things. They're literally stating it at the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, all of these big official government nonsense. And these criminals involved, they're not going to get to it because the light forces are here, folks. Whether you want to accept it or not, we are moving into a new earth. And it's going to be a little rocky as we go through the change. But, these these things that are talked about here are going to be normalized and evened out into a positive influence. The DNA controlled patents are going to not be able to be used. So have no fear. Let's not, look like it's inevitable, because the creator has another plan and we can move in step with it. Go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. I like that. And one thing to also to backtrack on what Rob said about how the government and the powers that be, they understand astrology. So that's why they're rolling things out right around with this kind of stuff. There's a reason that these things have been rolled out in the timing that they have. Excuse me. I'm going to keep moving with this.
The highest levels of the government and the Black Sun, they're all connected. The CIA and the MI6 and the Mossad and the GRU, they're all different franchises of a worldwide control network that's been traditionally controlled by elite royal families that are hybridized with fallen demons. Those are being taken out now. This is a situation. They're being warned and they're being demolecularized. Their technology and military bases underneath universities, other giant corporations and other areas is being removed. They're now just talking heads trying to get you to believe the fear that they're promoting. They have a few agents going around, agent provocateurs. They were trying to bring down the trade towers in Chicago. They had thermite explosives drilled to detonate. That was taken out. Now they're planning to blow up some bridges, San Francisco, London Bridge, and the Brooklyn Bridge, to create an effect of devastation and fear. And these things are being blocked by much higher developed technology of enforcement of the new universal codes. So what we're seeing here, the wonderful 3D platforms and modeling and images and all this stuff, is very positive, can be used for wonderful things. So be aware that we have a good side to what she's talking about.
And then I'm always forgetting how to move it to the next screen with this Mac. What do I push, Rob, to move to the next screen? Oh, down here it is.
Oh yeah, the little arrow,
okay.
Yeah.
So here's more positive spin on it. We're saying that we're going to be seeing changes with the sky related topics like broadbands, air transformation, astronomy, astrology, electricity, Reiki, intergalactic communication, and artificial intelligence. And let's focus on that. Pluto in Aquarius will expose what is rotten in our society so we can build a better structure and infrastructure for everyone here on Earth. And it will initially expose what is no longer working in our society.
Wow.
Because this is how Pluto operates. It purges what's toxic and is no longer needed. So the result can be a more resilient, autonomous society that can self-regulate and quickly adapt to circumstances. Let me see the other things I wanted to share on this. For this, what we can think about that this can be the energy of liberation with Aquarius ruling liberation and Pluto being with a transformation. And this can also be giving people even more freedom to be themselves. So it can be like, sometimes when we think of Aquarius people, these are the people who like to stand out and look kind of weird and different with the purple hair color or, the mohawks and things. But one of the things is that it can almost be like the new normal can be different, just to be yourself and that you're not being out, weird just to, stand out. It's just okay to be whoever you are. It's some other thoughts about this before we go more to the astrocartography. It's about taking responsibility for our lives and becoming fully autonomous.
That's what I was going to say. I wanted to read that one. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see, with our time of about 10 minutes left, I'm wondering, did you get the, because I do want to help promote your business.
Yeah, let's go more into
after you find something that, that's a big one, 25 to 39 maybe, but.
Well, I want to just kind of show people's astrocartographies a little bit. so they
Okay.
can see what I'm talking about for some examples. We'll just go through, I included the ones that were most interesting for me. So when we're thinking about the sun line here, this is an example of a woman who had the sun line. And she was living in Los Angeles, and she was very successful, had a prestigious career and income, had a impressive home, successful husband. And she was, so this is all things that promoting success, where she would shine, good for her career. And she was also on the Uranus line, which I felt like was promoting her doing unusual work, genius kind of work. And she actually was working as a patent attorney. Patents are ruled by Uranus, and she was an inventor in many ways. So this is an example. This is one of my astrology teachers. She's on the sun line over here in Phoenix. And not only is she benefiting with her career on the sun line, but she's also tapping into the Neptune line, which deals with her psychicness, her doing tarot readings, her astrology stuff. And she's pretty close to the Mercury line, which is helping her with her communication of all this. So she's doing well as a YouTube astrologer. And this one is real interesting. This is a man I went to college with, someone who came all the way from Australia and settled in on little itsy bitsy Fort Dodge, Iowa on his sun line, and was working as, and was being a baseball player. So those are some examples of how the sun line played out. And then with our moon line, we're thinking of women, we're thinking of the home. And one example I had for this was one of my neighbors. She was a young mother. So motherhood came to light here for her. And she was also finding herself as being an entrepreneur with house cleaning, dealing with the homes. So that's an example of the moon line. Also, this is a woman that was a massage therapist, and she was both on the moon line and the Venus line for her business. And so interesting, she was only working with women. These are both two feminine energies, the moon line, the Venus line. And Venus is dealing with the senses, and the moon is also dealing with like the subconscious. So she's dealing with healing work there. So you can see what I really noticed with this is people's life themes were starting to play out. They didn't know they were on these astrocartography lines, but it is becoming quite evident that these things were coming out. So this is an example of, I got a lot of examples with Mercury, the planet that deals with communication and learning, where people would move there for college and then they would leave once college was done. This is an example of a lawyer who went to Chicago to get his law degree and then left right when he got it. And this is an example of a woman who went to the Mercury line to get her undergraduate education and then left once she had gotten her education there. This is a man who came from Scotland, another example, going all the way to that itsy bitsy Fort Dodge, Iowa school from Scotland, Mercury, dealing with schooling, learning. He got his education and then left. And the Mercury also rules siblings. And this is some twins that I know they're on the Mercury line. Yeah, real interesting. This is, Mercury is also known as being a planet that has the connection with the underworld, being able to communicate. And this is a woman I know who, she really has a intuitive gift, and she's communicating with Archangel Michael. So Mercury also can be dealing with like communication within the underworld. Let's see, some examples of Venus. So this is a woman who married her, she met this young man when she was 20, and got in a relationship with him, moved to his homeland, and has been quite happy there. And I remember, not very many relationships last very well or very long.
Mm-hmm.
She's very happy in her relationship and has had 2 children in that area. So interesting. You can find your love on that Venus line like she did, and she's quite happy there. This one was an interesting one. This was a woman who had the Mars and the Venus line. And Mars and Venus is dealing with like passion. It's also dealing possibly with finances. And so
I'm looking at some of these things that when I'm looking, I'm going like, a lot of people got a lot of stuff in America. Like you look at mine, it's like, I got like an ascendant, and there's some things it's like, I don't know, I don't really have a whole lot going on coming through America. it kind of seems like when I was looking around, it seemed like I didn't see many places where I'm seeing so many planetary things. I'm wondering, like right above the Canadian border there, she's got a blue, a black, a brown, a red. It looks like, you know, somewhere, maybe even the cold tundra out there, it's going to be a good energy for her, but it's
Well,
pretty trippy.
yeah, well, everyone's is different. Sometimes you will see lots of lots of lines going through the United States. Sometimes it's somewhat sparse. And then sometimes, you know, the lines that are going through there are not, you know, the most beneficial lines. So sometimes we don't always have, you know, so much great choices. But I will say also, it seems like, I joke, I say, it's like you can't necessarily escape your destiny with astrocartography, because it's still going to be there. You know, you still got your Venus making the aspects that it makes in your own natal chart. So even if you go to the Venus line, you're still tapping into your own stuff. Let's see. So this is an interesting one. You know, this is a little, it seems a little depressing when you see it, but I do want to point this out. These are the two planets that are, you know, dealing with sexual energy, Mars and Pluto. And it's also dealing with power. But when we think of Mars, we even think of like to mar, how you could get hurt. And then Pluto is dealing, you know, with the underworld. And Pluto does have a connection with Scorpio, which is related with sexually transmitted diseases. So this gentleman, very successful business person, really good with martial arts. Mars and Pluto very much connected with that. It was in great shape, looks 10 to 15 years younger than his actual age. But but unfortunately, you know, he did have a diagnosis of an STD. So this can play out, you know, in these kind of ways for better or worse.
Is that always transmitted? I mean, I had a roommate once, and he's like, "Oh, don't use my towels." I think he had it from birth. He said he had a different type of one. And is that possible, or is it always comes transmitted sexually?
I think that you can conceivably, you could contract something like that. But I will also say that I thought this was much more transmissible than I met a number of gentlemen who had this, and they said that when they had female partners, they didn't even use protection. And as long as they weren't having an outbreak, they weren't spreading it. And that was shocking to me. First of all, I was shocked a woman would even be okay with that she wouldn't be worried about it. But I was also
No, he told me that. He says, if I'm breaking out and somewhere and I do it, but anyway, I don't want to go too much into that. I was just kind of curious.
Yeah, it's interesting. So here's a good example of how the Mars line is positive for some people. So Mars is the ruler of Aries, and this was an Aries man. And he was one of the gentlemen that I met in the social emotional intelligence training. And he was very strong in understanding how to use his strong divine masculine energy. That didn't necessarily come naturally, but it came from being on this Mars line, being integrated in that teaching program.
Where's his Mars line?
Right through Chicago. That's where I met him, in the Chicago area.
Okay.
Yeah. And so also he was into he was a rock singer, musician, which is great for like energy and also great for his identity. So it's not always just because we think it's not going to be, you know, that if it's a malefic planet that it's 100% to be avoided, because for some people we are meant to have those experiences to integrate that better. But I will say this is an example of a woman I know who has the Mars line that's going through the IC, which is dealing with family.
Where'd she live?
In Iowa area.
Okay.
And this is literally can be described as like fighting in the home, an aggressive woman, and a little bit like dominating. So if I was to be seeing this, and if I was thinking, well, am I going to settle down and have a family on the Mars IC line? No, thank you. I mean, but if that, because I would rather have more peace. But perhaps for this person, they were supposed to experience this energy, to integrate it, maybe to soften it in a way, you know, to how do I use it more appropriately? And I think this person has gotten better over the years.
When I think of looking at the astrocartography, I mean, moving to a place because of it. I mean, I definitely was interested in going to Santa Cruz because I have those 3 lines. I want to see what's happening down there. And I go there, and it's not too far from Louis' place. And he's mentioned that's where he goes for his vacation. So it's tropical and palm trees, and even in Bolivia. So in the middle of the country there, they have a lot of water. And so I was very interested in that. But I think there's, of course, so many other things, but might be interesting to do a little vacation revolved around that. Why don't you go ahead? I was like, did you get, you mentioned you were going to show the, how you take a chart and apply it to a calendar. Have you gotten that figured out yet or not yet?
Well, I haven't done your calendar, but what I probably can do is I can probably show my own calendar.
Okay, let's do that. I want to share it because she's got a lot of tricks up her sleeve, and I do want to support Jan too. She's got a new career here, and for you to check out, she can do this thing where you get a reading, and then for a little extra fee, I'm not sure, I'll ask her a question here, but she's going to pull up her calendar, and it's going to show the challenges and what's coming up. Now, she knows astrology, so she'll be able to read it. I don't know if it's is it an automatic progression that will show stuff.
No, this is from what I understand right now. I'm learning how I can become an editor, like if I was a personal assistant for someone, and I can add things on their calendar. So what I would be doing is I would be adding this kind of information on. So we're looking here and we're thinking, oh, Jupiter sesqui Venus. And then we're going to see, oh, Jane said that these are the exact dates. This is when we're going to start to feel it. And then this is a little interpretation of what it would be.
And then you would actually take a little time and do some personal, a little deeper readings possibly for a fee and all that stuff as well, right?
Yeah. So basically what I'm doing is I'm like that reading I was showing a little bit earlier of what, of Rob's transits, I'm entering in that information. So sometimes we're going to be seeing a great deal more information, and sometimes it'll just be like snapshots. So you can,
and some of them probably aren't. You might notice some big things and might put them in for people in the future that they could, again, that's, the stars impel, they do not compel. But, I definitely have seen in my life where something's going on, and, and someone will look at a thing, or I'll see a chart and someone goes, oh, well, this might have happened then. And it's kind of like, if I would have looked beforehand, I would have known. It just can kind of prepare you to go with the flow more, to not resist the challenge, and to look for it, and to not make an emotional reaction, because astrology is basically your emotional reaction to the situation. For those beings who are firmly established in their higher selves, astrology doesn't have effect because they're making their own way, and they're going to be involved around that, but they're not going to be as reactive to that situation,
and
whatever comes up.
It can just give you an idea of the energy. And then when you hear what's going on around that time, you're thinking, oh, okay, should I go to this conference here? Jupiter, sextile MC, good things from high people, enjoy accomplishments, significant people. And you're thinking, yeah, that sounds like a great one. Even if you don't know astrology, you would know, like, that's a great time to schedule something on a weekend. So it just gives you an idea of what that energy is, and it can just help you a teensy bit. Like, let's say, I know one lady had Mercury square Neptune. She was thinking about maybe having a garage sale that weekend. So I just said, if you're going to have it that weekend, double and triple check on that you get the information out there correctly, because there could be a risk that something gets put in on the dates wrong. So it's not anything about being real fearful. It's just about being aware and utilizing the energies to your own advantage as much as possible.
I really like the fact that you showed me that I started the date, the exact date I'm starting. It says relationships and lucky times, and it's your time to shine. So yeah. I was kind of noodling around the dates, folks, before or after, and I did not consult her. I did consult her, but I didn't really get the results of what was happening. So that was kind of new for me. So I'd like to, we're going to wrap up here, and I think we're going to do it again. I think I'm going to have talk to Alfred Lambermont Weber. I mean, with your transformation of what's going on in the world, you might find he might have some good information for you on that, or be able to share with with a different audience too. So why don't you talk again about your website, and folks, you can look at this below,
and you
and
know
how to
what?
reach a trucker Jane, astrologer Jane.
Real quick, I think I'll just pull it up so I can show people. That will be the easiest.
Oh yeah. So this is where you go. You can reach out to her, and she really, you can hear her intellectual. She's quite verbally, and she has a great information. She does a little research and looks at other things, and then she, from her own reading here, she does astrology. It's Jane Masteller.com, Masteller.com, and you can check it out there and see her. So I want to thank you for coming on today. Looks we got an hour and 15 minutes today. I would actually go longer, folks. I do have an appointment here. I'm selling a futon. Everything's for sale right now. So thank you so much for tuning in. And this is, she's got some great stuff here, astrology. By the way, at my conference, she actually will do your chart, and she can actually make essential oils and essences based on your astrology. And if you have anyone who needs a speech therapist, maybe a foreign language, or someone with a lisp, she does that too. She's pretty much a jack of all trades. You must have some versatile Mars and Gemini or something, or what is it?
Moon in Gemini, and Moon is my ruling
Moon
planet.
in Gemini.
I'm a Cancer, but my Moon, and the Cancer is ruled by the Moon, and so the Moon in Gemini. So yes, just for real briefly, I'll tell you, I make flower essences, and I'll get a lot of them from Australia, Australian bush flower essences, and I make different sprays. We can make them scented or unscented. And what the flower essences do is they bring out your true you. They bring out the best in you, and they can be great for calming any kind of challenging emotion, and they can be great for bringing out the best in you. And I do as well do some parent coaching for speech language pathology for parents who are like-minded and are interested in learning about some of the things that I recommend for, such as therapeutic listening. I have a client right now, a little boy who's been benefited greatly by listening to special music of certain frequencies that has been research evidence-based proven to be helping children. So this is like one the things that I'm interested for speech language therapy, is getting to the root cause, and not so much just trying to treat where they're having problems. Like, let's get to the root cause. Frequency in the ear is healing, movement is healing, and listening to these different frequencies for children who have occupational therapy needs or speech needs or attention needs. These are all fantastic things, but it wasn't things I could really tap into working in the school system as much. But you can look and see the different healing modalities that I recommend for the parent coaching. But also, please take a look at the flower essences. These things are very affordable and they're very effective. And they've been really instrumental with me in being able to improve confidence and be able to release any kind of guilt and worries and things like this. These are very, very profound healing substances that are quite affordable. And even if you choose not to get flower essences from my site, I can share a PDF with you and teach you how you can make your own essences, how you can buy them your own online ones that I recommend. And so I'm here for everyone to try and share this information with the world, because this is the true healing. The flower essences coming from the earth. It's from flowers, plants, and trees. So they also can help with physical ailments. I've had a lot of luck taking different things of the flower essences when I'm having a physical ailment. So
there's so much in alchemy. I'm going to be talking about the alchemy of the real alchemy of becoming young and what it means, and the distillation process. And this is where we're moving, folks, is back to nature and understanding sounds. We'll be incorporating scalar wave technologies and positive frequencies, but the allopathic medicine of drugs and covering up the cause and causing illness and sickness and side effects. You know, these companies, they give you something and they go, oh, it's going to mess up like 15% of the people that take it are going to have some, semi-severe, and 5% will die, and 6% will be very severe. They look at it and go, well, we can make billions, and then they always, you hear, oh, yeah, did you take this? Did you take that? You get a settlement. So they don't care. They make $9 billion. Their settlements, they lose $2 billion. They made $7 billion. They kill the people, maimed people. It doesn't matter. It's good business for pharma. So we're going to be moving away from this and understanding the cause, and we're going to be removing a lot of the deleterious technologies and practices of our society that are the cause of illness. We're going to go back to eating more heirloom, organic, fresh, natural foods, and we're going to be more in harmony with nature. And we will be outlawing a lot of different technologies that are destroying us. This is not in my lifetime, but this is where we're moving forward, folks. Jan, thank you so much for coming on. It's been wonderful and interesting. I hope you'll check out Jan. I'm going to get us back here to just us on the screen. Is it just us now?
Yep, it's just us now.
Okay, so yeah, I just wanted to get us back and say goodbye. So folks, check out my website, thepromiserevealed.net. I've got a lot of good blog posts, some amazing information from the Venusians, prognostications. We're talking about solar warming, the heating up of the earth, that it's real, but it's not to be used as a social credit system. And of course, we have Jan and the wonderful understanding of how the vibrational frequencies of planets and how the dance of nature finds resonance in us and challenges us, finds good places for us, the proper nutrition and everything. So Jan, thank you so much for coming on again, and we'll see you again soon, okay?
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Rob.
Okay, I'm gonna end the recording, folks, and once again, maybe we'll see you on the cruise, and you can start preparing for my summer conference in June. I'm gonna start out the tickets at $200 due to my financial condition. I'll probably sell a couple tickets. So if you want to make plans for the summer solstice in Mount Shasta, I know we have Jane DeForest, who very powerful, speaks to people on the other side like Tyler Henry and other people. And first thing she told me when I was speaking with Fred Bell, he said, "Kick upon your soul." And that was something he wrote in a book. She goes, "I don't know what that means." That proved to me that she was actually speaking to Fred Bell. I had a conversation with him. And so she's the real deal. Jane, as you just heard, she has a tremendous amount of knowledge. Brad Olson, we've got quite a few other people I'm lining up. I'm gonna go a little slower. I'm looking for new speakers. I'm working on getting some larger names. I'm gonna shift it up a little bit. I know Scott Warner will be there, and we'll let you know as we move forward, but we're gonna put a basic banner out with tickets and information. So thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Okay, and we're gonna stop recording.